your boy Gsluke here with our round one prize picks targets for this week's PGA Championship. The last time we had a video, we went 5 for 5, hit for 12.5x. That of course was for round 3 of the Byron Nelson. So coming in with some good vibes, a lot of momentum into a major championship. What better time to be clicking on all cylinders. And this week, maybe we can go for 2 out of 4 with a 12.5x. Either way, let's hope that we're profiting by the end of the week. And in this video, we'll be covering my top 5 props for round 1, as well as some research pertinent to putting your cards together, including the weather, a little bit of a course breakdown. And by the end, whether you're somebody that knows this golf course, is a golf DFS veteran, or is brand new to the sport, you're going to be equipped with all the knowledge you need to put together your cards. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. All right, guys, on the screen, you can see the weather here for Thursday and Friday. On Thursday, you're going to have relatively high winds for much of the day. In fact, 9 to 16 miles an hour of sustained winds, but a majority of the wind gusts and higher sustained winds will be in the PM wave. So as per usual on the PGA Tour, there on Thursday, you're going to have slightly easier conditions for the guys that are playing in the morning, of course with the lower winds, but also with more receptive greens, a little bit more humidity in the air, and of course on the greens, and also more pristine green surfaces. No scuff marks on them, no growing of the grass that adds any imperfections. These guys are going to be rolling the ball on perfect surfaces. Now on Friday, this isn't a preview for Friday, but one of our props is for the first 2 rounds rather than just the first round. So it is something that I want to keep an eye on. You can see in the morning, the winds are actually a lot stronger than the afternoon. So it's a little bit of a reverse of what we're used to seeing on tour. So the guys that are playing in the AM wave on Thursday, that in converse will be playing on the PM wave there on Friday, are going to have an advantage. They'll have the lower winds, more receptive conditions there on Thursday, and then on Friday get to avoid this 20 to 47 to 50 mile an hour winds that are going to be present there on Friday morning. And now let's talk a little bit about the golf course before we hop into the plays here. So it's Southern Hills Country Club. It is a par 70, one of the more difficult major championship courses that I think we're going to have seen for quite some time. Now I have to say that is a little bit speculative because we haven't seen it since 2007, so a whole 15 years at this point. And also it's undergone quite a few renovations since then. It's had quite a few trees removed, so it is a little bit less penal off the tee, but the greens have been made a lot more devilish. All of them have runoff areas. They've been made faster, have tons of knobs and triple, even quadruple breaking putts that you'll have from 30 to 40 feet. So in general, it gives you everything you're looking for. It's got the gnarly Bermuda grass rough. It's 7,500 yards for a par 70. The tough greens like I was mentioning. So you have to be good at pretty much everything at Southern Hills to find success. You can't just be good in 3 out of the 4 categories. You truly have to bring every facet of your game to take apart this golf course. Something to note as well will be the scoring average. This is a par 70. I would expect it to play well above par, at least 1.5, maybe 2.5 strokes over par, meaning that the average player going to be shooting in that 71.5 to 72.5 range. A lot of the players here on the prize picks board are far from average players, so make sure you keep that in mind with doing your analysis. But the average player here, the cut line could very well be 5 or 6 over par, would not surprise me in the least. Now let's talk about our favorite props, which at number 1, we have Tiger Woods. And I mentioned I had a prop here for the first 2 days, and this is it, right? He's over 36.5 holes played. That implies that he makes the cut, and to be quite honest with you, I don't just think he makes the cut this week. I think he finds some success here. I don't think he wins, right? I'm not going to be that bullish on Tiger Woods, especially with the lack of practice time that he's had of late. But this is somebody who's a major championship specialist, right? One of the most strategic players there on the PGA Tour, knows when to take iron off the tee and not force it with a driver. And at a golf course where you're going to see a scoring average well over par, potentially 2 to 3 over par, especially there on Friday, that is going to be the key to success. And the one thing that he also has going for him is the fact that he's playing in the morning wave. He's teeing off at 9 a.m. Eastern time, so around 8 a.m. local time there on Thursday morning, when you'll have the most receptive conditions of the week. And then on Friday, he gets to tee off right around 1 p.m. local time. So in general, he gets to avoid the toughest conditions of the week. And if we're just looking for the guy to make the cut, I like him to make the cut even in the difficult conditions, to be quite honest with you. Absolutely love him this week. Just terms of the field size, it is 156 golfers, but on the converse, it is the top 70 in ties making the weekend. So in terms of percentage, because there are some of the PGA professionals, some of the past champions, some of the guys on the Asian tour, also European tour, and aren't going to be quite as competitive this week as quite the rest of the field. You're looking at about 60, maybe 65% of the actual quote-unquote players in the field making the cut, let alone somebody like Tiger Woods, who's, the most accomplished golfer in major championships, at least of this era. So absolutely love him there. I have the over on his holes played. Extremely confident he goes out there and makes the cut. Next up, a little bit of an oddball pick. It's John Daly at over 0.5 birdies or better, which of course is a little bit outlandish. The fact that we have somebody priced at just 0.5 birdies. Of course, he's on the Champions Tour. He's only in this event because he is a past champion, but he's played pretty well on the Champions Tour. If you take a look at that DQ from a few weeks ago, before his last 4 holes there on Friday, he was in second place. He was in contention there on the Champions Tour, and they're still playing some pretty solid golf out there. I mean, obviously, Phil Mickelson went out there and was pretty much just dominating them when he was playing on the Champions Tour, but there's still a few cats out there that can play their golf. Most notably, guys like a Steve Stricker, Bernhard Langer, a few others like Angel Jimenez are obviously still very competitive at this age. So John Daly, finding himself in contention out there, don't scoff at that, right? He's obviously still playing some golf. Another thing to note is he's playing in the morning. Of course, here on Thursday, the more receptive conditions will be in the AM wave, and he is the first group out. So we will have the most pristine conditions of anybody in the field. So all he has to do is go out and make one birdie. I see him doing it, right? He has 4 par 3s to take care of, 2 par 5s, which probably won't be his specialty. I could see him chipping in at some point. He's at this age, he's making a ton of 20 to 30 footers. That's kind of how he's getting it done at this point. So it's going to be a little bit of a sweat. There's a chance he goes out there and doesn't make a birdie, but I'd put it at least maybe a 70% rate of him making that birdie, especially because he's playing in the morning wave. If he was in the PM wave, I'd be much more hesitant about playing a John Daly because those crosswinds are going to affect him a little bit more than most because of his lack of power. But there in the morning, it gives me much more reason to support him there. And I have him, again, like I said, at just over a 70% hit rate, which is one of the best props we've seen on the board for quite some time. Even though it does give you a little bit of a bad feeling in your stomach, right? It's John Daly we're talking about, but the line is right there at 0.5. Next up, we have a few strokes props, and this isn't a 12.5x parlay. That is something to note. It is just a 10x parlay. I couldn't really find 2 fades I liked. There was only one guy on the board I felt comfortable with fading, and that's because everybody on here is an elite of the elite level player. I mean, just one of the best players in the world, and to really pick anybody as a fade it's a hard task, even at a hard golf course like this. So let's talk about the guys that I do like first. So first and foremost, I'll be going with Brooks Koepka at under 72. Now, he hasn't been in the best form. In fact, he withdrew from the Byron Nelson. We didn't get any type of information about it, so more than likely, it's just because he didn't want to play. He didn't cite any sort of injury or that kind of thing. He's been practicing this week. In fact, he was late to his press conference today because he left his keys in the car. But in either circumstance, he looked in pretty good spirits on the video. He posted that on social media. And there's just something about Brooks Koepka at the PGA Championship or just major championships in general. He seems to figure it out, always seems to surprise people out there. And you're telling me all he has to do is shoot 2 over par and he pushes, or even 1 over and he ends up hitting for us? I don't mind that it's a difficult golf course. That's where Brooks really steps on the gas and separates from the field, right? His ball striking is what makes him a great player, especially at these major championships. And if he's hitting all these fairways and all the greens, it won't matter how difficult it is. It's going to be hard to 3-putt all day, right? So I do like him at 72 strokes. He's got more than a well-rounded enough game to take advantage of this type of golf course. And I have him projected for 70.1 strokes, so just slightly over par. One of the best projections I have on the slate because of his track record at majors. It's just something you can't overlook. When he shows up at the major championships, he's arguably the best player maybe of all time in terms of winning percentage, in terms of scoring percentage. And last time out at the Masters, I played him a ton of Brooks Koepka, right? Regardless of the format, whether it was fantasy over here on Prize Picks, it did not work out. But more often than not, it will. So if you were somebody who did buy in on him at the Masters, you have a little bit of that hesitancy there. Try and put the grudge aside because, from a longer term sample size, You're not going to find a better player in these majors. Next up, we have Colin Markawa, who's another major championship specialist. That's mostly the reason I'm going to the two of them is they have the mental game for these tournaments. Second of all, Colin Markawa, an extremely talented iron player, somebody who's more than capable of flighting the golf ball. I'm expecting him, even in the harder of the two waves, he is teeing off in the PM wave, to still get away with it. I mean, his ball striking is just that pure. He's had success at the Open Championship, of course, where he ended up winning. PGA Championship at Harding Park was quite windy on a few days there, so would not surprise me to still see him go under par here in these conditions. So I have him projected for 69.5 strokes, actually a little bit better than Brooks Koepka, but given the difference in their projections, right, it's about equal in terms of their edge. So I don't really prefer one over the other. Of course, Colin Markawa has to do a 71 to hit. He doesn't have the push in his back pocket at 72, so maybe that does make me slightly prefer Brooks over Colin Markawa here, but both really solid options for me, both players that I'm taking the under on. And now lastly, we have our fade, which is going to be Viktor Hovland here at 71.5 strokes. The real differentiating factor between somebody like a Brooks and a Colin Markawa and then a Viktor Hovland is, of course, the short game. Viktor, not one of the more skilled players at getting up and down. We've seen it when he's been in contention, and anytime he gets to a major championship, it usually doesn't go all that well. And I've been extremely vocal about this. I've said that unless he fixes his short game, he's not ever going to win a major championship. Now, he's like low 20s, right? He's got plenty of time to fix the short game, but if he doesn't make it a priority, if he really just continues at the pace that he is, it's going to be an issue, and he's eventually going to get called out for it. You're going to, maybe a year from now when he doesn't have a top 10 in a major or top 5 in a major over this year, you're going to hear a lot of the golf talking heads going like, wow, Viktor Hovland is underperforming because winning the Acaba championship, winning the Hero World Challenge is one thing. Winning a major championship, Players Championship, API even, right? A hard golf course is a completely different task, right? It's a different brand of golf. So as much as I like Hovland, he's won me GPPs when it comes to DFS. He's won me a lot of money over the years at these type of venues. He's perpetually going to be a fade. That is such a glaring weakness, pretty much no matter what major championship venue you're at, particularly this week where the around the green shots are probably going to be the most difficult that they ever see on tour. And you're also dealing with through super windy conditions where people are going to be missing quite a few greens out there. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. So he's going to be the one fade I'm taking. If we were taking the under on him, I'm not. I'm obviously taking the over. You can see it does hamper our payout to 8x. That's why I did try to fit in the one fade there to make sure that we're getting the 10x payout like we would for other sports. But if you don't want to take a fade, a way to hack this, guys, and I always try to give you guys the tips and tricks of the trade here with Prize Picks, is put another sport in, right? If you like NBA, right? You like, let's say, Marcus Smart. I have no idea with NBA 10. I haven't done any research with it. You can take the over still, right? And you still get a 10x payout because you swapped the sport. So just understand, if you don't want to deal with the whole multiplier thing, there are ways around it, right? You don't have to only take golf props. And a lot of you out there play a lot of other sports. Just take your favorite prop from another sport and do it that way, right? Because, a lot of times people don't like fading people no matter the sport, especially with like NBA and NHL. Completely understand it. Golf, it's a little bit more reasonable. I think the lines are a little bit more accurate when it comes to golf. But that's how you can go ahead and do so. Either way, these are my top 4 props. I'll be using this as a 4-leg power play, and also I'll be using the top 3 props here. The Tiger Woods prop is my favorite prop on the board. I'll be using that in pretty much every prop that I enter. A few 3-leg powers with Tiger, Brooks, and Colin, with Tiger, Daly, and Brooks. Just a bunch of the different permutations there that you can use. That's what I'm going to be going with for round 1. All right, that's all I've got for the round 1 picks. Before you hop on out of here, let me know down in the comments what your favorite prop is. Also, make sure you smash the like button. Lets me know that you enjoy this content, that you want to see more of it to come. And also, make sure you keep an eye for the content coming throughout the week. Tomorrow, we might have a Prize Picks live chat going on. Still trying to get that figured out with management over there. So if you're on the Prize Picks Discord, very well could see a live chat tomorrow afternoon, so keep an eye out for that. Also, I'll have videos for rounds 2 through 4. So if you're not already a subscriber here on the channel, I highly recommend go ahead and join the crew because we'll have you covered for all of those rounds, but also for the rest of the events this year. I'm not just a major championship golf guy. I cover golf week in and week out, regardless of the size of the event. So if you're looking for these type of videos for the rest of the year, you don't want to miss out. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate all the support here on the channel, and best of luck here for round one.